Hello everyone, George here, and we are back again with my implementation of whatever this Five Nights at Freddy's thing is that I've been making. So some interesting things have developed that I've noticed. For instance, if we go to Steam and to Five Nights at Freddy's and check out new information, you'll notice that they're getting a VR game as well as a bunch of other stuff for Five Nights at Freddy's, which makes it so that I'm worried. But because I know that, people like to shut down projects that interfere with, major titles, I might have to completely change the underlying theme and style of what's going on here. In which case, I will no longer be referring to it as FNAF, I'll just be referring it to as Animatronics. And we'll be making something as devoid as possible from the actual concept by making things, different and however we can. In the last video, we were using an animatronic, and we had segmented it into multiple different parts, and we had written a script to make this so that we could grab these parts and have them snap to each other. Now, we never tested anything in VR, and I've actually got the whole VR setup right here in front of me. So why don't we go ahead and see what we can do. So let's grab the hands. Now, I only have one tracker currently up, but that should be enough as long as I don't screw anything too much. All right, so there's the trackers up and operational. Headset's operational, and we've got a single box operational as well. So let's go ahead and hit run and see what happens. All right, here's our game view. Let's put this up here. And headset's not working. I think I turned VR off. So let's fix that really quick. So file or edit, project settings, player. Scroll on down to XR settings. Virtual reality supported, open VR is what we want. Everything else looks okay, so that's fine, save that. Let's go ahead and hit run now. It says we got an error, a null reference exception. Let's check out what that is really fast. At assembly something, let's get rid of that. Assembly manager. All right, so within here, we've got assembly snap points and assembly manager. Let's get some space here. So we have, for each assembly piece and assembly pieces, pieces.assemblylevel.addAssemblyPiece. Therefore, something here is showing up as a null object as it's iterating through all of that. Therefore, we get this by doing a find game object, correct? Let's see. Yeah, find objects of type assembly piece. Why would I be getting a null reference error? Let's clear that out really fast and hit run again. I just want to make sure that that pops up. Yes, it does pop up. Let's do a stop. And let's iterate through this and see what we're getting here. So it's possible that a piece of assembly piece does not have an assembly level attached to it, which is causing the null reference error. So let's go through our pieces and see if one of them does not have an assembly level attached to it. So here's our assembly manager. All right, so each of these pieces has a assembly piece attached to it. And each of them should then have an assembly level. And it looks like none of them currently have an assembly level, which means I need to set that up. All right, I swear I had, are pieces supposed to have assembly levels or let's take a quick look here. I don't quite remember, it's been a few weeks since I did the last video on this. So pieces have an assembly level, and then I know I iterate through something and attach each one. So pieces don't do any attachment. The pieces have to have reference to the assembly level in order for them to be added to that level. That's how I scripted it before. Okay, therefore, we need to take a minute and figure this out. So we've got, so here's assembly manager, and these are the different levels for each one. So we've got chest innards. So there's chest innards right there. We've got chest plate. Is that just that's just a point. Was I not thinking when I did this? So here we have connection points. Let's move the connection points all together. So actually, okay, so if we grab this object here and we were to move it around our scene, we would place it where we want to, and I guess the connection nodes would stay where they're supposed to be. That's, okay, those are the places that lock in place. Let's go through the pieces, set them up first, then we'll move on from there. So we have the assembly piece, plate, face, innards. There we go. Hip doesn't have one. So let's find hips. And we have left arm, left foot, outer face, quad, shin, arm, foot, outer foot, right quad. Then we have tail, then we have the shin, and then we have the connection points. Did I lose a bunch of references since the last time I did this? It's lost all association of the assembly snap points as well. The assembly manager should be going through each of these assembly pieces, and it attaches the assembly add points here, add assembly piece to the level. And then each of the pieces should also have the associating snap point on it. So chest innards should, of course, should have an assembly snap point right there. Chest plate should have chest plate connection point. Face innards, hip connection point. Now left arm. Now actually, how did I do this? Let's take a quick look and figure that out. So an assembly snap point only has an on-trigger location, and the entire idea behind this thing is that when it gets clicked on, it will check to see whether or not it is an assembly piece, and if so, it's going to move that assembly piece to that position, and then it's going to check to see if that assembly snap has occurred, it looks like. Or it's going to pass that it is the correct piece to the assembly level. Therefore, the assembly piece needs to know the assembly level that's going on here, and it needs to know its snap point. Do I even check here to see if this is all finished? So under assembly level, we have assembly snap occurred. We check to see whether or not, right now we set all finished to true, but nowhere in, oh, here we go, all finished is equal to false. So if not AP dot is placed, then set this to false. So, oh God, why did I do it this way? All right, we're gonna take a few seconds and refigure this out. I don't like what I did here. Let's put some notes down here. Unlock the first levels to be assembled. And let's come up here. And let's do add assembly, add pieces to each assembly level. And that's all that happens in the assembly manager right now. So let's make sure that's set up. So let's go over to our assembly manager. And we have the left foot and the right foot as being the first two that turn active. So they'll turn on at the beginning. So then we have left foot and right foot. So these two right here. They have a size of 1, and then they have an unlock assembly level. So assembly levels are linked to other assembly levels. Now, none of the other assembly levels have been set up yet. That's not good. Let's just make some notes here so I remember this stuff in the future. Once again, you forget stuff after, a month or so. So, add assembly piece to level from the assembly manager. Now technically this doesn't have to happen there, and why is the manager even doing this? Why doesn't the assembly piece just directly, the assembly piece already knows the assembly level. Why can't it add itself at the beginning of the game, right? Each piece should know what level it's assigned to. That's part of this entire thing, is that the pieces are the smart ones, right? So here's an assembly piece. It knows what assembly level it's a part of, and assembly pieces can only be part of one level. Why am I even doing this here? So let's just nix that for the moment. And the assembly piece, because it already is aware of levels, it knows of their existence, it can, as far as I'm concerned, it can then play with the level and do what it needs to with it. So I guess under void start, we will iterate over every associated assembly. Let's see, there's only one assembly level that it's a part of. So we'll do assembly level dot add assembly piece, which should be just this. Now every piece will automatically go through itself and add itself. So let's write just add myself to the associated level. And under assembly pieces, let's under assembly levels. So it is a serialized field right now. See, here we have a list of assembly pieces right there, which can't be viewed, so that's good. I don't need to worry about that. So then I have levels that I need to unlock. Now this needs to be set up internally. Okay, so given that, let's get rid of this. The assembly manager is starting to turn into a nothing class. So it might end up, disappearing. We might not need a manager at all. Okay, so what we've learned so far is that Assembly pieces are king. They need to know they need to know an assembly snap point, don't they? So the assembly snap points turn on when. So they're about triggering stuff. They know what piece they belong to, and they also know what associated assembly level they're a part of. Now, is that necessary? Can this be set up after? So here's the question: was a assembly snap point, is that a point for the next level, or is that a point for the current level? Well, let's set up the assembly levels first. So assembly level left foot unlocks assembly level left shin. Assembly level left shin should unlock assembly level right quad. Assembly level left quad should unlock assembly level hips. Assembly level right foot unlocks right shin unlocks right quad unlocks hips. Hips unlocks 2. It's going to unlock the tail, and it's going to unlock, I'm guessing, the chest innards. So then the hips unlock the tail, which unlocks nothing. The chest innards is going to unlock the chest plate. The chest plate unlocks the left and right arm. The chest plate is also going to unlock the face innards. And the face innards is then going to unlock the right face and the left face. All right, so now that we've got some of this cleared up, let's go through this logically step by step. The assembly manager knows what assembly levels to unlock. So that's going to be level L foot and level R foot. Now these levels have no associated model, if I remember correctly. So let's take a quick look. So there's left base and right base. Those are the two parts where those are going to, why are those in different places? All right, anyway, that's where the foot ends up being placed. So the foot itself is a foot piece and has no direct association with that until we click on it. This piece knows that this thing is supposed to be there, and it will then snap that object to that location. So each connection point knows the correct piece that's supposed to be associated with it. Now it also wants to know the associated assembly level that it's a part of. Now, can it get that information from the assembly piece? Because the piece knows the levels as well. So our base connection point should be part of assembly level left foot. And left foot already knows that it's a part of assembly level L foot. Therefore, the connection points should be able to derive what assembly level they are a part of based on whatever the correct piece is. Which means that's one less thing I have to do manually. So assembly level, or assembly snap point, and instead of this being a serialized field, does this actually do anything? No, it doesn't. Does the assembly piece do anything? It does an assembly add level, but there should also be an assembly snap point that adds its level to it as well. So let's do a public void assembly level set associated assembly level. Get rid of that void. I don't know why I have that there. And this should just set associated assembly level equal to whatever assembly level I have passed it. This should be void. This should be assembly level. Okay. So now in assembly piece, I do assembly level.add assembly piece here. But because I know you know what, this is wrong. If you're designing something and you can't figure it out when it's your own design, that means you fundamentally screwed something up pretty bad. Instead of calling this correct piece, this should probably be called correct next piece maybe, or correct extension piece. I don't know. But anyway, you grab the next thing and you bring it to that assembly snap point, which means the assembly snap point has to know what the next piece is, not the current piece. So all of these things here, so chest plate, plate connection piece, which is right there, its correct piece is the chest plate. You bring the chest plate to it, that becomes unlocked. Now it has an associated assembly level, which must mean the level that it is a part of when it turns on. But does it really need to know that? Well, it tells the level that it's associated with, that a snap has actually occurred right here. And then this occurs. It checks to see if all snaps have actually happened, and then we move on. So given that information, shouldn't the assembly piece, the correct piece that we're dealing with, be the correct assembly level that we're dealing with? It tells the level that the snap has occurred, and then the next level gets unlinked. So I think that's correct, in which case we don't have to fill the associated assembly level, I believe. Oh, excuse me. I'm going to get rid of this being a serialized field for right now, just to stop the confusion of it showing up in the inspector. So associated assembly level. So the piece itself needs to instruct this thing. So we have assembly level dot add assembly piece this. Oh, but see, here's the rub right here. These are assembly snap points, not for the current layer. These are ones that we are trying to snap to, aren't they? I don't need to turn this on in Assembly Manager. So now all we have is the Assembly Manager turning on the first two assembly levels by doing unlock assembly level. And in unlock assembly level, all we do is we set unlock on the assembly level to be true. Now, should that not activate the first snap points as well, though? Because right now, all assembly points are turned on by default, which is not correct. Are they all turned off by default, all the snap points? I don't know. They're called connection points here. They're called snap points here. No wonder I can't make heads or tails of what the hell I'm doing. Let's rename these. All right, it looks like all snap points are activated at the beginning, which means all snap points should be turned off at the beginning. And that should be handled by the assembly manager. So let's do that here. So this should be finding all assembly snap points, not assembly pieces. So assembly snap point array assembly snap points is equal to GameObject.find GameObjects of type assembly snap point. Okay, let's turn them all off. Or for each, what is it? For each, let's just do var assembly snap point in assembly snap points. And then all we need to do is assembly snap points dot game object dot set active is false. Now they're all turned off. We don't need to worry about them actually doing anything. All right, so they're all off by default. Then when we go into start assembly levels dot unlock assembly levels, this should then unlock the associated snap points with that level. So if we go to levels now and we go to unlock assembly level, this should now also iterate over each snap point. Do you know your snap points though? You know assembly pieces, you don't know snap points. Now, can you get your snap points from somewhere else, or is this the beginning of something? Now, what you do get is you learn your assembly pieces by add assembly piece. However, this assembly piece is linked to the next piece, not the current one, which means the levels have to know their snap point. So the assembly snap point in here should get turned on. So we'll do another for each loop, var assembly snap point in assembly snap points. We'll do asp.gameObject.setActive is true. We need each level to know the snap points that it is associated with, or that is it is controlling at that time. So if we come over here to assembly level, we have left foot and right foot. It should have, let's see, is this Do I have an error or something? Unlock. Those are unlocked levels. I want assembly snap points for each of these. So let's do, so you have one snap point and you also have one associated snap point. And your snap point is L foot. Let's see, no, yours is R base for, what is this? No, yours is left base. So left base goes there, and then R foot gets R base. Even these names I'm kind of irritated at the moment. So you guys get the bases as your snap points. So then someone goes and grabs the foot. Now I don't know why the foot has an associated snap point. Is that still necessary? So it looks like before is place gets called and that activates the snap points. Why would I have done that? I would have done that in order to allow... No, that doesn't make any sense. Why am I having such a hard time with this? Yeah, you know what? I don't want the assembly piece to have an assembly snap point. I want the levels to do that. The pieces shouldn't have that. So I'm going to get rid of this whole thing right here as well. This will probably cause an error someplace else. Wait a second. What is this? Okay, we just need to get rid of this line. I still need the is place line. All right, once again for the 1000th time, and I'm really frustrated with myself at not being able to do this easier. As much as you're probably frustrated with me not being able to do this easier. Assembly Manager turns on left foot and right foot assembly levels. Left foot and right foot assembly levels know about the snap points for the bases, which get turned on. Each one gets its own assembly level turned on. It also knows what to unlock next when everything works. So someone grabs the foot, drags it over to the snap point, which is our base point, right? Because that's, we have snap points. I don't see base points. There's snap point. So you drag it over here. On trigger enter happens. We check to see whether or not that's the correct assembly piece, which got set up already. So the snap point needs to know its correct piece. Is that correct yet? Yes. Okay, so that's known. Then it takes the piece and moves it to this position. Then it tells the associated assembly level that, hey, we've got a snap that occurred. Everything seemed to work out correctly. Where did it get its assembly level from? We manually specify that. Did we? We have assembly snap points. We have unlocked assembly levels, but where do we have the actual assembly level we're associated with? Assembly level, associated assembly level is right there. So here we have set associated assembly level. Where does this happen? This never gets called. A snap point does not know its associated assembly level. Therefore, it does not know who to call here. That should happen inside of here. An assembly level should know the assembly snap points, which are right here, that it is a part of. See, this is why I'm getting confused. I do not differentiate between the current level and the next level. I need to do a naming convention change right now to make sure that that actually happens, because I am just stuck in the mud until I can remember if I'm dealing with the current level or the next level. Actually, now that I think about it, the manager doesn't need to do this. This should be done by each assembly level at the start of the game, just like we did earlier with the points. So, turn off every snap point should be done in assembly level because it should technically know about all associated assembly snap points. I'm going to call this assembly snap points to fill. Maybe that'll be better for me to remember what the heck's going on. Could this please move so it's not in my way? I can't read the damn thing. That's kind of annoying. I can't read it. Oh, I guess it's right there. So assembly snap points to fill for that level. And this shouldn't be called unlocked assembly levels. This should be assembly levels to unlock. Once this one's finished, I'm going to call this associated assembly level. I know this seems redundant and over the top, but I'm having problems understanding what the heck I'm doing. All right, so let's have each assembly level actually. Now I thought I had them turn everything off. Each assembly level should have points to fill. When this level turns on, those should be filled. Yeah, that's right there. However, at the very beginning of everything, so let's do split void awake, we're going to have it turn all that stuff off. So assembly snap points to fill. Don't we have this happening already? Turn off all assembly snap points happens right here. But this isn't necessary. You don't need to grab them because the assembly level should have access to all the snap points. So then assembly snap points to fill, so we'll do a for each. Var ASP in assembly snap points to fill. Just do snap point. Why don't we do that? Snap point set active dot game object false. Okay, so it's going to set all of the snap points that it's associated with to be false. Therefore, it has to know all those snap points over here. So in awake, it turns all of them off. Let's color code this part here, purple, and associate it with that one. So here's the references get set up, and here those points get activated. Now the assembly snap point needs to know its correct piece, so that should be set up here as well. How does it know? It knows from there. This needs to be changed in color though. If all the pieces are placed, it unlocks the next assembly level. Therefore, the assembly level has to know the next level it unlocks, which is right here. So let's color code that as well. All right, with that, I think we have everything figured out. I'm going to take a break just because it's been a while, and I think I need to just step away from this because I am not in the right frame of mind. I will see you all next time. So long and good night.